Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to start with some sunflower seed oil, or you can use probably corn oil as well. I'm going to put a little bit of it in the pan. A little bit of it, it's not much. I got it on full heat. Take a minute for it to go. Okay, so we got the beef on high. We're going to add salt, some fresh sea salt, freshly ground, and black pepper. That's where the beef is going to get its flavor. You want to stir it around until it starts getting brown from the red. And as soon as most of it is kind of brownish gray, we're going to add the Worcestershire sauce. Now while this is going, at the same time, I'm going to reduce the heat a tiny little bit, just so that it's not right at burning. And I'm going to start making the broth. I'm going to open up the broth, the chicken broth. I'm adding the chicken broth and the beef broth. Now what you want to do is, it has to be broken down 2-to-1. So after you add 4 of these containers, you have to add 4 of these containers of pure water. You can use bottled water, but I just use a filter. We're not going to be charring the beef, but it does have to be cooked a fair bit. Now the beef has a great color. This is exactly what you want to see. It's a very dark brown. The Worcestershire sauce is doing its thing. This is almost ready here. So we could switch the burners. I'm going to put the soup on the big burner, and I'll put the beef on the small burner. So I got full heat here. So I'm starting off with the carrot. Gonna take your time, and there's no rush because the soup takes time to cook, and you want to have nice pieces of carrot in the soup. Okay. So you want to be cutting the celery not too thin, but also not too thick. The best is to make it even, that way everything cooks at the same time. You don't want to have pieces in the soup that are not cooked yet. So this is a leek. It's not a very common vegetable name, but it's everywhere. It's in all the stores. It has a similar flavor to an onion without being so intense. It's a great vegetable to put in a soup, any soup really. To the soup. So at the same time, I'm going to be putting the beef into the broth. It's basically all just going to go in. Try to get all the juices in there. It's basically only the Worcestershire sauce and a little bit of fats. And usually I don't even clean the pan, I'll just put up the heat and start throwing in the garlic. So I'm going to use about 6 cloves of garlic, I think they're called. Just slice them as thin as possible. They're going to go into the pan, and we're not going to be adding any grease, so it's going to be more of a browning of the garlic rather than actually trying to fry it. This will preserve a little bit more of the flavor. Okay, so the garlic has been finely sliced, and I'm just going to add it to the pan. Along with the mayoram leaves, you're going to want, I would estimate, about a tablespoon. The key here is you're going to try to get the mayoram to get brown. That's why I haven't added any grease. I want it, right now it's kind of a greenish light color, but once it starts turning brown, then you know it's getting ready. Get a spoon and give it a good stir, because you want that beef, you don't want it sticking to the bottom with the high temperature. So we have the soup coming in there. Right now what I'm going to do while this is heating up is open up the corn and open up the red kidney beans and get those into the soup, because now it's time for that. Some of these vegetables come in like a brine or some kind of water. I usually pour that out and just rinse it with a little bit of filtered water. You don't want any extra flavors in there, kind of messing up the soup. Red kidney beans is the same type of deal. They have a kind of starchy water that they put, and if I leave that in there, it honestly is not going to be very flavorful. So you can see this water in there. Got to rinse that out. Just to educate you.
Yeah, but it's good. You're natural when you just talk. I answer the question.
So we're gonna add the red kidney beans. They've already been rinsed of all that water, like I said. So now I'm gonna add the tomato sauce. As you can see, it's looking a little burned. It's looking a little browny. That's actually what you're going for. Same way with the broth. This is very concentrated. You have to add an equal portion of water along with this tomato paste. You get a big tablespoon, scoop it right onto the pan. So I'm going to add the water along with the tomato sauce. Tomato, it's ready to go when it's like this. It's all the same consistency and the right color. I'm adding this to the soup. We add about 3 or 4 bay leaves. 1 cup of red Zinfandel. So 1 cup of the red Zinfandel. Just like that. And also we're going to put 1 tablespoon of the Tabasco sauce. You can add up to 2 tablespoons, which will make the soup a lot spicier. Okay, so that's the soup pretty much. Once all that's in there, once the wine and Tabasco sauce and everything, what you want to do at this point is cover it up, and we're going to leave it cooking for about 45 minutes.